Hey guys, it's Gazi here. Welcome back to another video. Now this video will be a commentary on a VOD from my stream, which is on the Ruins of Nuowu Extreme Mode. This video is going to, I'm trying out something a little new for this video. This is something that I'm going to actively look to do for new content that's coming out in Source of Legends. Now, Ruins of Nuowu proved to be a lot more difficult than any other content that has came out. Actually, Ruins of Nuowu as well as Ice World, they were much more difficult than any other content that is already live on NA and EU. The rig composition that we chose to go in here with is 14 people with both colored tanks, 3 colored healers, and remainder DPSs. Now, if you care, among the 4 spell swords, we have 1 melee and 3 ranged. Mechanics wise, they're pretty similar to hard mode, except for a few things. They are a lot more punishing. For example, this poisonous seeds over here will target 2 people instead of 1. I will talk about the markers in a second. We try to get the puddles away from the boss as close to the air wall as possible for all stages of the game, so we have more room to play. Now, at the start of the fight, we're pulling the boss to the orange marker with the range standing around the sword. Now, the reason for that is the distance between the air wall and the orange marker is about 20 meters, so we can continue the range. TPS players can continue to TPS while drawing from the puddle as close to the air wall as possible. Now, this boss does have a pretty big mechanics and as well as a DPS check, so it is really important to squeeze out as much DPS as you can. The Reapers will try to block the tornado every single time, starting from phase 1. So I think it is an absolute must to have a Reaper in your raid to be able to do this fight. Same thing as hard mode. There will be puddles that spawns all the time. Just make sure you dodge those, as these will probably a one-shot when hit. Poisonous seeds again. Unfortunately, I got it one more time. I probably shouldn't be standing next to another player, but I was trying to focus on the fight, and that was probably my mistake. Similar to hard mode, there will also be a skill called Sochi that needs to be interrupted right away, as well as the tanks need to switch. But you guys probably know that already, right? Now, at 3 minutes into the fight, the boss is going to face. Now, this could be delayed by about most 5 seconds, I would say, if the boss is in a animation for the skill. Otherwise, he will go into phase 2, starting at around 3 minutes into the fight. Now, at 3 minutes, we usually stack together, drop our heals, top everybody off, pop defensives if necessary to take less damage from this big sword thing. Right there. Okay, now at phase 2, the map gets split into dark side and light side again. Similar to phase 1, we're all going to drop our puddles on the dark side as close to the air wall as possible when space is given. When space is given, and we pull the boss to the white marker, and we kind of split the ranged players by separating them. Some of them standing behind the boss and some of them in front of the boss. Now, the reason for that is we want to use as much room on the map as possible to drop puddles. Starting from this phase, we're also actively trying to knock the boss to get more TPS in, as well as give the healer some room to breathe. It is really important for melee players to watch out when the boss is not, because the tornado will still come out. Now, if you are using your sword skill when he is knocked, your knock skill, excuse me, you have to be extra careful, because you can still be hit by the tornado, and when hit by a tornado, it is going to be a one-shot. So she again, tanks switch, the map is shrinking. Now, in extreme mode, we try not to get our stacks of chi above 5 or 6, and we need to actively switch sides to remove our stacks. Sometimes the stacks do not refresh right away, so when that happens, make sure you move a little bit, just like that, to make sure you are removing your stacks. Puddles will continue to spawn. Sorry, the black circle will continue to spawn. Make sure you dodge these. These are a one shot. This phase is all about dropping their puddles as close to the air wall as possible while switching sides, because otherwise you will have very little room to play with for phase 3. Poisonous Seas will target 2 players once again. The healers have to pay attention to players like that. Now, if you are a Spellsword or a Bard, I recommend to go on top of a already existing puddle and then use Ice Block or your Purge right away to give the field a little bit more room, because you are able to stack the puddles on top of each other. Now, but if you feel like that's too dangerous, you don't have to do it. The boss will phase into phase 3 as about 6 minutes, but we did get a knock on the boss, so that is going to be delayed a little bit. Once again, we're going to stack on one side, top everybody off. Now at this stage, make sure your lychee stacks are faded and pop defensives accordingly. Now in voice calls, we're trying to coordinate Call of the Wolf as well as comprehensive defense to get as much DPS in on the boss as possible. Starting at this phase, the orbs will spawn around the map, and the orbs has to be dealt with ASAP. Make sure you are actively still trying to clear your stacks. If you are going into the orb phase with too many stacks, it's quite dangerous, but since we have 4 spell swords and they are exceptional at dealing with the orbs, we don't have to worry about it too much. Now, if you're a spell sword, the skill Heavenly Sword can be charged up to 3 seconds to one-shot an orb. Debuff, drop puddles, switch sides, dodge black circles. This boss is so tanky. This boss took Minerva just over an hour to attempt. We chose to reset whenever we had any deaths before 9 minutes. And it's almost always a melee player that unfortunately gets hit by some random skill. Because of the DPS check mechanic, as you guys will probably see at the end, we just chose to reset because the numbers are still quite tight. Orbs will spawn once again, this time around 8 minutes. We need to deal with them ASAP. The tanks actually made a mistake over here. The Spear Master tank actually did not interrupt the Sochi, so the Berserker tank actually got 10 stacks, but luckily he popped defensive and he did live through that. Otherwise, it would have been a reset right there. This is the last debuff that we have to deal with before phase. And around 9 minutes, it's going to phase into phase 4. Now, phase 4 is when the real fun begins. Prior to starting this raid, we split the DPS into 2 groups. I am in group 1, and then some other players will be in group 2. Now, when the boss is facing, make sure everyone is on the light side, because the boss will absorb all the dark chi and get a damage buff. Soul Catcher is the skill that each group has to soak. Each player has 4. Each group has 4 players, and you have to go in where the tank is facing and soak this skill. After soaking the skill, there will be puddles drop on the floor. Make sure you shift out of it right away. Oh, by the way, and of course, when you're soaking it, please pop defensives. After you soak the skill, you will get a debuff. You can see at the bottom of the screen over here, where my mouse is. When you have this debuff, highly recommend you don't go to soak because it will be a one-shot. Now, this is group 2's turn. They're going to soak it, get out right away. This is why melee Spellswords are so good in this fight, because they have invulnerabilities that they can soak the boss with. So might give MVP for sure. Same thing, Raid will also place a stacking debuff on the tanks. Now the Berserker has 2 stacks on him. It gets really dangerous. The tanks are also trying to pull the boss because it's such a big map, and whenever soul catcher happens, you always drop puddles. So we're trying to go to the area that it is open. Now this skill, here, I'll talk about it in a second. Now I actually missed my soak, so I actually communicated with my team that I missed the soak. So I asked somebody else got it, and I was communicating with team 2 that I'm going to soak next time. Mistakes do happen, so it is really important to actively communicate with your team. Soul catcher happens, I'm gonna go into soak. The tank should have faced the boss to the right side, but if you face the left side, it's fine too. At this stage, I was talking to my raid that I did get the soak, and someone else has to take my spot for group 1 spot. Stop. Now, when this skill happens, this skill looks so cool. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on healers at this point. Please stand in this circle from Reapers and pop your defensives. So catcher again, I have to debuff, I have to get out right away. Now this skill over here, this desire skill, he's gonna target 3 players and stun them for 4 years. This skill is not dodgeable unless you have invulnerability. So we'll kind of just chill here for 15 seconds. I think that is it for this fight. It is pretty difficult. The enraged timer is, I believe, 15 minutes. Average DPS will probably have to be at around 6.6, I would say, if you're running the same composition that we are, which is 9 DPS. Sorry about that. I realized my full buff expired halfway. I was trying to get another one. I didn't even get it. Do I think this raid is puggable? Probably not. I think at the very least, you would have to. Everybody has to get into voice comms, because a lot of accidents could happen during this fight, and any mistakes will almost always cost a wipe. We're still actively switching tanks, obviously, and that is pretty much it. Took us about just over an hour to do this boss. Had a lot of fun playing it, had a lot of fun filming it, and if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.